welcome to the IB podcast. I was actually going to talk about the future life or life beyond high school or IB in this episode, but as we all may be quite aware, times are a little tense and a little changed from when we started off. So I thought we might actually change it a little and talk about a different future instead. I guess it's going to be a bit of a weird episode to start off a podcast with, but who cares? No one's watching this anyway. What a time we live in though. School's getting cancelled or school hasn't started for some people. People are panic buying toilet paper and pasta. None of us know what is going on, what's happening with the class of 2020, and literally everyone is talking about corona. But since everyone is talking about corona and quarantine and whatever else, and there's this impending sense of doom and uncertainty of our certain death, I actually want to kind of talk about the opposite. The type that everyone actually doesn't talk about. Like, what on earth are we going to do, like, after corona? Like, assuming we come out of it sane and alive and healthy, right? I'm not the type of person to be optimistic. Like, if someone asks me what type of person I am, I wouldn't say I'm an optimist. But when it just comes down to situations like this, you just have to think about a different side, or you kind of go insane. And also, like, why not? Why not talk about it? And that's basically my motto for my life at this point. So here we are. So the first damn thing I want to do after the whole entire corona fiasco is over is I kind of want to feel weightless again, you know? Not like the physical weightness of stress. I feel like that will be better after finishing final exams. But like get that stress of like uncertainty off me. It might just be this air of uncertainty and stress that hangs around everyone now, and I just want that burden of life to be gone. And it's kind of like that advertisement. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but it's giant black slime blob that hangs off people's shoulders and everyone's being weighed down by it. I think it's an advertisement for painkillers, and once they take the painkillers, the black blob of stress or whatever it's supposed to represent kind of fades away into the background and just screams into the void. I want it to be like that, but with my, I guess, very heavy load of stress and uncertainty and all that weighing down emotion. You know, I just want it to be all like exactly like that advertisement and just being blown away on the breeze and just let it all go. Like, I think it's also stressing that I've seen normally super calm people, like people you would imagine and people who you look up to as like mature adults. Like, I want to be that adult when I grow up. They do their own laundry, they pay their own bills kind of people. And they're like, oh, it's going to be fine, it will pass, we just have to keep calm. But let's be truthful, right? We just sometimes just can't stay calm. Or like we're just pretending to be calm. All so stressed inside. We're just all panicking and we just want to break from all of it. Like, our generation wasn't calm to begin with, you know. TikToks and memes or whatever are just a coping mechanism in this whole mess. I just want to return to a time where these coping mechanisms aren't really coping mechanisms anymore. They're just memes, the TikToks, they're just here to have fun and we don't have to lie to ourselves that everyone's okay. You know? First of all, I just want everything to feel normal or okay again. And on that kind of slightly depressing note, I'm going to move on to number 2, the second thing I want to do after the whole fiasco is done. So number 2, I just want to live out my last teenage years, I guess. And like, when I turned 17, just a bit of an anecdote for all of you, people were singing ABBA's Dancing Queen to me, like that one bit where it says, like, you're 17. I had no idea when that was happening last year that my last teenage years were going to be like more along the lines of young and sweet, only in quarantine. Yeah, I did get that joke of Twitter, but it's quite funny to be honest. Like, jokes aside, what I meant to say is that when we began 2020 this year, Jan 1, with all the fireworks, with everyone being like, it's going to be the best year yet, New Year resolutions. Like, none of us expected this circus of a year that was to come, right? And in this unexpected mess, we get quite a lot of epiphanies, like the idea that we took a lot of things for granted. Things like parks, libraries, just hanging out with friends at public places, enjoying breeze in the harbour in the city. To kind of Corona's credit, I don't actually go out that much. But all I kind of want is that in my last kind of teenage years, that when I do go out, and those few times that I do go out, I want to feel like I'm not aware that I'm outside or always bothered that I'm outside. I just want to experience that moment without having to be bothered or distracted by something else. I just want to go outside my house into a public space and not have that notion of slight danger around me when I'm in public. And, I just don't want to be thinking about the idea of social distancing all the time when I'm outside, which, if you haven't heard, is 4 meters now instead of 1.5. And on a slightly tangent, or slightly weird news article, I guess, someone on the news said it was that it's 60 people per tennis court, if you didn't know. And honestly, it's quite a weird way of expressing that statistic to me. Like, I know what 4 meters is, but I don't know what tennis courts or how big they are or remember how big they are. So it's a bit of a really weird way to show how big that radius is. But, returning to topic, I think what I meant to say is that I just really miss the normalities now. That one Passenger song where it's like you only miss the sun when it starts to snow? I think it represents this idea quite well. But speaking of normalities, the last thing I want to do after the whole fiasco is done, I want to sneeze in public on public trains without getting avoided like a plague. I have that weird syndrome where you stare directly into the sun, I sneeze. So when I do sneeze or sniffle on public trains, it gets a tad tense and people unintentionally or keep to that 4 meter radius around me and avoid me like the plague on public transport. And I just want to go back to feeling like I'm a human again on human transport once in a while. So I'm definitely missing that for now. And the last thing I think I kind of miss is waking up and checking the news and it not being dominated by corona or just one thing that constantly is dominating our lives at the moment. Like, it used to be random news, like what offensive thing that Donald Trump just said last night at the press conference, or is ScoMo on another ill-timed island vacation? What's the new tea on Kardashians? Has someone cheated on them? Like, when I was, like, if this has been last year, quite honestly, and I saw all those news, I'd be like, oh, it's so boring. Or, not again. But I really miss it now. I don't want to look at statistics of death and fatalities and people lacking money or financial aid or medical aid in the situations. Do know that while complaining or making a list of all the things I want to do after the whole situation has blown over, is that I'm in a quite a privileged situation to be almost not quite as worried about the situation. Like, I'm not in the age group where it's the most affected. I'm not in a demographic or population that's quite affected, or in a country that has always lacking medical facilities. And I think all that we can do in the meantime in our positions is that help the most we can and support everyone around us. And as cliche as it is, just not panic about it. So I think that's all for today. That's what I really wanted to say, to be honest. And this episode Loki turned out like one of those apocalyptic diary entrances where it's day 24, we are all starving and we're all running out of toilet paper, something like that. But I just want it to be a bit less dismal than news or, I guess, moods of people recently. And one thing or one thought I want to leave with everyone who's listening today is that just think about, or just take 5 minutes to think about what you want to do after the corona or after high school. Good night.